We are live. Hello, everyone. We are live. If you are in the stream, say hello and let us know where you are watching from. If you're right here, please let us know where you are currently watching from, streaming from. We are live. We are live. Please share the link with everyone. Tell your friends, your neighbors, and your enemies to come learn today. Tell everyone to tell someone we are live. We are live, and today we're going to be learning about accents and empty eyes. Accents and empty eyes. It's a subject that requires us to explain. Ada is here. Hello, Ada. Yes, Ada is here. Ada, where are you streaming from? If you're live right now, please let me know where you're streaming in from. Hello, Ada. Good evening. It's good to see you. Yes. Please share the link with your friends, with your loved ones. Hello, Ada from Abuja. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Share the link with someone. Tell someone to tell someone to tell someone that we are live. And today we're going to be talking about accents. Do I need an accent to speak the English language well? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Do you need an accent to be able to communicate with clarity and confidence? Especially American or British accent, Canadian, whatever variety. Do you need an accent to speak the English language well? Please share with us. Ada, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Hello, Uche. Welcome. Welcome, Uche Obi. Good to have you. And Uche thinks we don't need an accent to be able to speak well. Okay, Ada, what do you think? Who is on the live stream? What do you think? Do you need an accent to speak well? I'm not talking about mother tongue in interference now. I'm talking about having a variety. The English language has a variety of accents. We have the American, we have the British, Canadian, Australian, all of the varieties of English. Do you need to acquire that? Because interestingly, I've had someone ask me in the past whether she needs an accent to speak well. As a matter of fact, it was a big deal. One time I was online, I was just scrolling on the streets of Instagram, and I saw someone trying to pass a message across. And unfortunately, I use that word loosely. She was trying, and I cannot tell right now, was it an American, British, or Canadian accent? It was funny. It took the effectiveness away from our communication. I was trying hard to focus on the message, but her accent was really distracting. All right, so this is a Nigerian girl trying to speak British or American accent, and it took away from her speech. I tried so hard to listen into her message, and it was really difficult. So that's what happens when you try to speak in an accent that is not naturally yours. So I say categorically, no, You do not need an accent to speak the English language well. So, welcome again to class, everyone. My name is Joy Eshimokai. I am a public speaking coach. I am a spontaneous MC. I'm an author, and I am the lead coach at Prospeak Live Academy, an online public speaking academy where we help you and your children to achieve your personal and professional goals. Yay! Yes, Uche, you got that right. Yes, Ada says, I don't think you need an accent to speak the English language. Yes, Ada, you're right. And Obi too said he doesn't think Uchechi. Yeah, I don't think we need the accent. Yes, we have our Nigerian accent, and yes, you can be authentic with your own accent. Hello, Ogechi, and welcome. Welcome, everyone, and it's good to have you. Yes, today we're talking about accents, and I've had Uche and Ada say that we do not need accents, American, British, Australian, or any of those, to speak the English language clearly. And so, yes, welcome. So this question of do I need an American accent or a British accent is one that is age long, right? So especially as second language learners, we try so hard to want to acquire an accent, but that's not really what matters. And today I'm going to be drawing your attention to what really matters in effective communication. So today we'll explore this topic. We'll explore the importance of accents and understand what really matters in effective communication. And we will then discuss MTIs. MTIs, meaning mother tongue interference. We are the ones that actually need this. Second language English learners, right? We tend to have mother tongue interference. And so today I'm going to be discussing widely on that topic. What are accents? What are accents? So an accent is a manner in which people pronounce words. It can reflect where you're from. It can reflect your background. It can reflect your social status. Accents, however, are natural. They're natural. So an example is the British schedule and the American schedule, right? So Nigerians, we always we find it difficult to speak consistently, use one accent. So if you're using the American accent, you need to stick with it. If you're using the British accent, please stick with it and don't confuse people. All right, especially if you feel the need to use any of those accents. So any of those accents are just a variety of the English language, just showing the geographical location of the English language, the varieties. So we have the American, the British, we have the Australian, and even the Canadian English, right? And it reflects the cultural and regional diversity of the English-speaking countries. And yes, we have Nigerian English. Yours faithfully is using Nigerian English. Yes, and is our accent, is natural. So you find children who are born in the UK, for instance, naturally acquire the accent. It's natural. When you stay there, you acquire the accent. All right. But if you are a Nigerian and in Nigeria, you do not need to acquire any of those accents to speak the English language. What is important? I'm going to be sharing with you 6 key points that are important in speaking the English language. You do not need to acquire any foreign accent. You just need 6 of these focal points, and I'm going to be sharing them one after the other. Number 1, you need comprehension. So one of the primary aim of speaking the English language is for you to be understood, for you to understand and be understood. So it is important that you speak with clarity and you are understood. It is far more important than any specific accent. It is far more important than any specific accent. If you're following me so far, please put in the chat box, I'm here and I follow. I'm here and I follow. So you just want to be understood and be understood. So what's the point of acquiring any foreign accent? Number two, you want to be intelligible, right? So you want to ensure that you pronounce your words clearly and you're clear enough for others to understand. And this involves pronouncing the right vowel sounds, the right consonant sounds, as well as proper intonation and stress patterns on your words. Please, someone help me put it in the chat room. Number one, what is important, what matters in speaking the English language is to be comprehensive, to be comprehensible, to be understood. Number two, to be intelligible, right? For people to be able to comprehend and for you to be able to pronounce correctly. Number three, the number three focus should be clarity. You want to be clear. You want people to understand what you're saying. You want to pronounce your words clearly. Thank you very much, Uche, for following. Number one is to be comprehensible. Number two is to be intelligible. And then your focal point, number three, is to have clarity. It's very important. When you speak any language, you want to ensure that you are clear. Your message is clear. Your pronunciations are clear. You want to ensure that your speech is understandable, irrespective of your accent. Irrespective of your accent. You want your speech to be clear, and your message, you want to pass your message across with clarity. This is so much more important than any accent you want to acquire. So you do not need an accent. All you need is to be clear. That's what you need. And then we move to number four. Number four is confidence. See, I always say that confidence is an attractive skill. You either have it or you don't. And it's a skill. It is learnable. Nobody was born with confidence, so you just appeared and you're just confident. No, you learn it. It's a skill. You acquire it. You determine within yourself that you want to be confident. It's a very attractive skill. People naturally like people who are confident. So what you want to do is acquire confidence and speak with confidence. Leave accent. Leave British accent for the British and American accent for the Americans. Except you naturally have those accents. What you want to do is have confidence. Speak with confidence and clarity. Effective communication. You want to speak effectively. You want your message to be conveyed effectively. Effectively. That's number five, Uche. Thank you so much. Number five, you want to communicate effectively. And the goal of effective communication is to convey your message. So whether you have an American accent, whether you have a British accent, whether you have a Nigerian accent, you want to ensure that you communicate effectively, that your message is clear. Your message is clear and understood by your audience. So trash the accents. Ensure that you communicate effectively. Ensure that you communicate effectively. Thank you, Uche. And thank you so much, Ada, for following as well. Thank you, everyone online. And number six, you want to be adaptable. So for instance, I get a lot of these from people, especially in the diaspora, who are Jakba, right? Like we call it in Nigeria, Palace. You want to ensure that you're adaptable. So when you're speaking the English language and you find yourself in the UK, you want to speak in a way that they will understand. So this is basically, you know how in customer service, they say, know your customer. This one, know your audience. You need to know your audience. For instance, the way I'm speaking to you is not the way I will speak to to my teenagers and pre-teenagers in the Speak Out boot camp. No, I speak to them in a manner that they will understand, knowing fully well that they are children. So it's very important for you to know your audience, and then you adapt to your audience. If you're speaking to an American audience, you want to enunciate your words properly so that they will understand you, because naturally they may not understand you because your accent is different. And different doesn't mean bad. Remember that different doesn't mean bad. That I have a Nigerian accent doesn't mean bad. It does not. It just means different, unique, peculiar. So yes, what matters is for you to be able to adapt. Don't forget, I shared with you, thank you so much, Uche. Number one, comprehensible. Number two, you want to be intelligible. Number three, you want to be clear. Absolutely clear, no ambiguity. Number four, you want to speak with confidence. And this is what we teach in our Overcome the Fear of Public Speaking. It's a course that we hold just once every year for adults who want to overcome their fear of public speaking and learn to speak with confidence and power. Because the world is not the stage, the world stage is not for the silent and the knowledgeable. It's for the bold and the loud. So you want to ensure that you learn to speak with confidence and with power, with clarity. You want to learn to effectively communicate your message, and you want to be adaptable in any audience. You want to speak so that they understand, irrespective of your audience. Yes, that is what matters the most when you speak in public. What matters the most is not your accent. Ditch the accent if it's not working. If it's working for you, fine. If it's not working, ditch it. Stick with your natural Nigerian accent and be comfortable in your own skin. The truth about speaking in public is that when you are uncomfortable, when you try to copy, or you're not authentically yourself, you may not be able to effectively communicate your message. And that will take away from your speech or from your sale, whatever it is that you're doing. So yes, do you have any questions for me? This is part one, and we move to part two. Do you have any questions for me? I want to take your questions. If you have any questions for me, I want to take your questions. Any questions concerning accent? Any questions concerning accents? Any questions concerning accents? Yes? Yes. Thank you, Ada. You need to be adaptable. So you adapt to whatever situation you find yourself when you're speaking in public. Adaptable. You need to be flexible. You need to know your audience before you speak. You need to know your audience. And so, yes, Uchechi says no. Uchechi, you're such an amazing follower. I love it. Keep it up. Yes, and we move to empty eyes. What do you understand by empty eyes? Yes, I need this class to be really interactive. I want to see what you know. Empty eyes. Hey, Peter, welcome. It's good to see you, Peter. Yes, empty eyes. Mother tongue interference. Please help me put that in the chat room. Mother tongue interference. So earlier, was it today? Since yesterday, I've been posting this particular video of an Igala man who goes for an interview and is asked, okay, the job role he was being interviewed for was that of a newscaster. And so he's given a script to read, and yes, the evil mother tongue interference interfered. And it was just like, Chemo is now 1,000 naira. Yes, mother tongue interference. For second language English learners, we have that a lot, a lot. And what it simply means is that a person's native language, possibly a language that you learned first, your native language, especially if you learn it first, your native language interfering with the English language. So it happens when linguistic features of a person's native language influences their second language. It can manifest in pronunciations, can manifest in grammar, in intonation, in vocabulary, and in sentence structure. That's how it manifests. And that's why we have Hausa native speakers who learn English as a second language are unable to pronounce certain vowel sounds. For instance, in the Hausa language is the F and the P factor. The F and the P factor. I know that you know this. And then in the Yoruba language, we have the H factor, and then the V and the P factor. Then we have in the Igbo language, I'm just speaking one after the other. In the Igbo language, we have the R and the L factor, where we have the lice and the rice. Come and buy lice. And you say, what? Buy lice? What for? All right, so can people overcome MTI? Please share with me in the chat box. Can people overcome? Is it possible? Okay, the L and the R, yes. So in the Igbo language, Peter, yes, very good that you're the one sharing. In the Igbo language, you have the L and the R factor, where you go pleasure for pressure. So you're going through pressure and you tell your boss, I'm going to pleasure. And yes, the meaning will be lost. Meaning will be lost. Communication would not have taken place, because one of the primary aim of communication is to be understood. And so when you're trying to tell your boss that you're going through pressure, and you go like, I'm going to pleasure, it's going to say, what in God's name is going on here? So I think that okay, Uche, honestly, I don't think so, but I'm open to learning. Uche, what do you think? Share with us. Mother tongue interference, can it be overcome? Can you overcome mother tongue interference? So, Uche, what are you saying you don't think so? What are you talking about? Yes? So, mother tongue interference, can we overcome it? Can we overcome it? So today I'm going to help us learn how we can overcome mother tongue interference. So how can we overcome mother tongue interference? Earlier on, I told you that it can manifest in a few ways. It can manifest in your pronunciation, it can manifest in intonation, and it can manifest in structure, in sentence structure, and it can also manifest in vocabulary. So Uche is saying that it can hardly, it's Ogechi is saying hardly, it can only be overcome early in life. Okay, we're going to be learning today whether or not this is possible. Uche is also saying, I don't think we can overcome it. Yes, Uche, yes, but you're open to learning. I like that. Peter is saying, I think it's possible, but you have to be persistent. Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your thoughts. So today, I'm going to tell you how it manifests. Then I'm going to share with you how you can overcome. Yes, you can. But let me not jump the gun. Let me tell you how mother tongue manifests. I talked about pronunciation. So you find out that sounds from the mother tongue may be carried over to the second language, leading to an accent or a misinterpretation of certain words. Like I said earlier, in the Igbo language, you have pleasure for pressure, and you have lice for rice, etc. And then in grammar, you can have grammatical rules of the native language may not necessarily be applicable in the English language, but you just apply them. And then you cause error in sentence constructions and all of that. So you find also vocabulary, you find that you translate directly. I used to have a friend whilst growing up in primary school way back in Kano. So I grew up in Kano. She was an English, second language English learner, right? And she would just directly translate a sentence from Hausa straight to English, straight directly to English. And then you find it difficult to understand, right? Because direct translation from the native language may be incorrect when you directly translate it in English. The usage may be upside down, it causes awkwardness and all of that. Then you find sentence structure. So the sentence structure of your native language might influence how you create sentences in the English language. It might affect how you create sentences in the English language, leading to incorrect phrasing. So, how can you overcome MTI? Especially in these days that people just jackpa. You jackpa and then you have serious MTI. You're going to have difficulty in being understood. So I want to share with you, yes, earlier on, Uche said, I don't think we can overcome it. Ogechi said, hardly, it can only be overcome early in life. And Peter said, he thinks it's possible, but you have to be persistent. I will have to go with Peter. Yay, Peter! Super smart Peter. Yes, everyone. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Uche, open to learning. And yes, Ogechi, early in life. Yes, there's a place for it early in life. But yes, if you're persistent, let's not forget what Coke says. Persistence pays. So I'm going to share how you can overcome and eventually minimize it and totally eradicate it. It's possible. It's doable. And I'm here to show you how. Number one, it takes intentional practice. Intentional practice. It takes intentional practice for it to diminish over time. So yes, it may take a while. And like Peter said, you have to be persistent and consistent, but it will eventually diminish. Yes, you can overcome MTIs. Number one, tongue twisters. Who can share with us one? Tongue twisters help ensure that you pronounce words correctly and with clarity. Tongue twisters. Remember in those days when we were growing up in primary school and all, and I also share this in the Speak Out boot camp with teenagers. We do tongue twisters challenge. Tongue twisters challenge. So what are tongue twisters? Can we remember what tongue twisters are? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. Yes, tongue twisters. You say them consistently. It helps you open wide your mouth and pronounce your words correctly. It helps you open wide your mouth and pronounce your words correctly and with clarity. So if you persistently practice with tongue twisters, you are going to be able to pronounce words better. You're going to be able to pronounce words better. Persistence pays. That's number one. Number two is shadow listening. Shadow listening. What is shadow listening? Is listening to the native language of native speakers of the English language speak. Native speakers of the English language speak, and then you mimic them. So you mimic them closely as possible. This helps your pronunciation and also helps your intonation. I think this is what they do for, what are those lessons, those tests? Peter, what are those tests that are conducted for people who want to travel out, who want to take residence in other countries where their native language is the English language? Yes, those tests. One of the tests that they apply is you shadow listening and speaking. So they play a couple of audios for you, and they want you to repeat whatever is said over the audio. They want to see if you can pronounce or if you can speak the English language correctly. So if you do that for yourself, you're going to be able to gradually diminish MTI. So record and playback. Record yourself. That's number 3. Where is Uche? Is Uche still in this class? Number 1, things that can help you overcome MTI. Number 1, tongue twisters. Number 2, shadow listening. Number 3, record and playback. So record yourself and playback. Don't be afraid of listening to yourself. So I'm going to go back and watch this video and listen to myself when class is over. But yes, record and playback. Record yourself and playback. Listen to it and compare it with native speakers. Listen to it. Thank you, Uche. And Uche is back. Record and playback is number 3. Record and playback. Record yourself, listen to it, compare it with with native speakers. It helps you also identify areas that your MTIs are present. You will not believe it that I catch myself somehow having the H factor. You know that Yoruba H factor. Sometimes I'll be like, what was that? And I caught myself. Yes, it shows where we are from. And some people have it more than others, right? So record yourself and play back. Identify those areas that you need to improve on. Identify the areas and then keep recording yourself and playing back. Number 4, use pronunciation apps like Elsa Speaks. Learn to pronounce words correctly. You can use Google. So I still learn to pronounce words correctly. Yes, we're second language English learners. So yes, go to Google. How is this word pronounced? Click on it and then hear the native English speakers say it correctly. Then you learn. You learn. When you stop learning, you start dying. That's what a wise person said. When you stop learning, you start dying. So learn to pronounce the words and say, don't be afraid to learn. Learn to pronounce and pronounce correctly. Learn the proper rhythm, learn the proper intonation, and learn the proper stress pattern. Yes, thank you so much. Number 5, debate, speech contest, and just generally speak out. Stop hiding, people. If you used to hide, please stop hiding. Volunteer, speak out. Public speaking is a doing act. You must practice to get better. The more you practice, the more you get better. The more you practice, the more you get better. So practice, practice, practice. Volunteer, speak up and speak out. Dare to be seen, dare to be heard. That's the only way you're going to get better. So you find that people who have this issue of MTI tend to hide. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't know, fear of what people will say, fear of rejection, fear of not being heard. But that's not the time to hide. Not for anyone who wants to get better at communication. Anyway, speak out, volunteer to lead, volunteer to be a spokesperson, volunteer to speak on behalf of a team, volunteer to be the spokesperson. Volunteer, stand up, speak out. That's how you're going to be better. Be bold, be courageous. That's number 5, debates and thank you. Practice, volunteer, speak out, debate, speech context, presentations. Just put yourself out there. Number 6, correction and feedback. And that's what I do. Correction and feedback. Ask for feedback from trusted people. Have someone hold you accountable. Have a community that provides feedback. Have a community, have a friend who is ready to hear you. Have a mentor. Normalize receiving feedback. Normalize it. Oh, how did I do? Did I speak well? Did I normalize it? As someone who wants to get better at public speaking, normalize receiving feedback. I have people on this stream who are certainly going to give me feedback at the end of this class. And I love it. It helps you get better. Yes, it helps you to be accountable. And when you're held accountable, you get better. Yes, it transforms you from a mouse to a lion. Yes, And I have a special guest in the house. I have a special guest in the house. I'm just going to share one last thing with you. I have a special guest. It's a surprise gift to all of you, my followers. And yes, this person is very special to me. But let me take the last point before he comes in. Last point, read aloud. How do I overcome MTI? Read aloud. Read. First of all, read. Normalize reading. Please don't ever be caught saying, oh, I don't like to read. It's a very, very foolish statement. It's not wise at all. Normalize reading. Normalize reading. Normalize reading. And when you're reading as someone who wants to overcome MTI, your mother tongue interference, you want to read aloud, focusing on pronunciation, focusing on intonation, focusing on stress patterns, focusing on stressing syllables correctly, stressing the right syllables and stressing them correctly. So I shared with you how you can overcome your FTI and gradually diminish it completely from your speech. You learn tongue twisters and consistently practice. Number 2, shadow listening. Listen to native speakers of English language and practice speaking just the way they have done. Record and playback. Record yourself and playback. Number 4, use pronunciation apps. Use Google. Pronounce words. Let Google help you pronounce words correctly. And then put yourself out there. Practice, practice, practice. Speech contest, debates, presentation. Jump in, show up, and do the work. Yes. And then correction and feedback. Normalize having a mentor. Normalize having someone. And I can't believe you're doing this. Is learning. What is learning? Is it learning cats and dogs? Normalize reading, and not just reading. Normalize reading aloud and focus on intonations and pronunciation. So these are activities that will help you reduce and ultimately diminish FTIs and improve your public speaking skills as a second language learner of the English language. If you have questions for me, now is the time to ask. Now is the time to ask. But as you're asking, I'm just going to bring some special guests into the room. If you're excited, please spread the red carpet in the comment section and welcome my own mentor. My mentor, a 3-time winner of the public speaking. Oh my God, I don't know. No, I don't want to get it wrong. 3-time winner. My mentor is a 3-time winner of international speech contest in the Toastmasters World Public Speaking Champion. Mentor of mine is a 3-time Central and West and Central African champion of public speaking. Is the first Nigerian at the World Championship of Public Speaking. Please make welcome Benjamin Wayo, my mentor. It's an honor to have you here tonight. I know you're very busy. Thank you for showing up like you always ask us to do. Thank you for showing up. I do not take your presence here for granted. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I hope I'm audible.
Audible, sir.
Okay. We have no power here, so I'm substituting with lights. And it's hot.
Sorry about that.
I'm sweating as usual. So it's a pleasure. It's always an honor, always a pleasure. And Joy here is a star. Even though she calls me a mentor, I'm also a mentee as far as holding programs like this and projects like this are concerned. She has far more experience than me in some of these areas. I've done more in the area of coaching and training than I have in actually having online classes or on this level and so on. But it's a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me. And a good evening to everybody that is here. You've actually taken a very good step learning, because the learning is what transforms every individual. Just tasking your mind to learning something always gets you better. But if we're going to go by the subject of today as quickly as possible, because I know we don't have much time, I would like to support my sister and contradict her at the same time. So I'm going to I'm going to support Coach Joy and contradict her all at the same time. First of all, one of the beautiful thing about accents is that, particularly when you're talking about, in fact, one of the beautiful thing about accents is that, okay, let me give you an example. If somebody, let's say a white fellow, maybe a British person or an American person or a Dutch person or a French person was speaking in your native language, maybe Idoma or Igala or Hausa, and the person could speak your language, wouldn't you be impressed? You'd be impressed. And one of the reasons why you'd be impressed, of course, would be naturally because most of the time we are the ones speaking their language and not the other way around. But let's take it a step further. Wouldn't you even be more impressed if that person was not just speaking your language, but was speaking your language in your accent, in your dialect, and got the pronunciations and the enunciations just the way you guys speak it, maybe in your particular village or something like that? Wouldn't you even be more impressed? And that is how the person will actually win your heart. They first of all win your heart by speaking in your language, but they go further by being able to speak in your accent, being able to sound like you, so that there are things that they're saying that will just relate to you. You know, they said that if you want to speak to a person's head, you know, there's one thing you say, but if you want to reach their heart, you speak in their language. Speak in their language. So it's actually powerful when you're able to speak in the same accent as another person, and that's very powerful. So it's great. And so, like I said, I'm going to agree and disagree at the same time. So I have two basic will I say basic opinions about accents. And they are like realities. I call them two realities about accents. Just two realities. The first reality is the one I love to deal with, which is the fact that no matter what your accent is, if you're going to improve your speaking, you have to speak. It doesn't matter what accent you have to speak. It doesn't matter how you feel about your accent. It doesn't matter whether you think your accent sounds great or doesn't sound great. It sounds like an original accent or doesn't sound like an original accent. It doesn't matter. What matters is that if you're going to improve in your speaking, you have to speak, because we do not learn by listening. We learn by speaking. As far as speaking is concerned, we learn by speaking. If there's a saying we say in public speaking spheres, we say, no matter how many books you have read about swimming, if you don't jump into the water, you will never swim. So if no matter how many books you read, how many courses you go to about speaking, if you don't speak, you're not going to be a better speaker. Unfortunately for most people, their accents or their beliefs about their accents, their perception about their accents stop them from speaking. I was coaching, yes. They think that their accent is not good enough. It doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound British. It doesn't sound American. So they refuse to speak.
Exactly, Dr. Ben. What I was trying to debunk is that you don't need to acquire the foreign accent. You do not need to acquire it for you to be able to speak clearly. All you need to do is be able to pronounce or enunciate words clearly. You don't need to acquire a British, Canadian, or American accent. As long as you are intelligible, you're comprehensible, your audience can understand you, and they can get the message, your core message. You do not need it. So, Dr. Ben, I was listening to a girl online one day, and she was trying so hard to speak in a British or American accent. I'm not sure what accents, like a mix. That's another thing. We're not consistent. We're trying to acquire the British on one hand, and then on the other hand, we're acquiring the American. And so it was so distracting for me, because I couldn't take away her message because her accent was distracting.
Very true. Very true. And that's the problem. People are leaning, and that leads me to that first, the second reality. The second reality is that we have been inundated by the accents that are foreign, and it is not any fault of ours. Okay,
Mm,
first of all, we were colonized by the British. So we were
certainly.
colonized by the British, and that language is the language of communication that was handed over to us in our schools. Many people outside of this country, I was taking a class, I was taking a training or a class, would I say a workshop, if you like, with some Chinese people, and most of them were in Hong Kong, but there were some of them from other parts of China. And they were surprised. They were surprised at my use of English. They said, "Oh, this guy is speaking very good English." I said, "English is the language of training in our country. Our country, we learn by English. We don't learn by our native languages. Yes, there are
Yes.
places where people, substitute and sometimes mix them up, but we actually learn by English." And they were surprised. So we have been colonized. So we have been hearing, we've been listening to British people, and we have been taught that that is the language of choice. So it's not our fault. We have been handed down a language by imposition, if you like. Secondly, we have been watching Hollywood for a very long time. Hollywood has a great influence over us. We have watched movies. We know movie stars. We've watched their movies. If you're like me, you watch Sesame Street. You're watching Disney World, Nickelodeon. Your children are watching all these places. So those accents you're hearing them over and over again. And those accents are not associated with failure. They are associated
Mm,
with beauty. They are associated with
success.
success. They are
Yes.
associated with class. So it will affect your perception about how to speak. So if you speak with your Igala accent, you're going to sound like, no, you're not among those people that are speaking so well, and so on and so forth. If you speak with your Hausa accent, you're going to sound, oh, I'm not like, oh, with your Ibotic accent, you're not going to sound, oh, you're going to feel a little bit out of place because you don't sound like the people you've been listening to. Whatever you're constantly listening to will have a great effect on your mind. So it is inevitable. We have been colonized, and also we're listening to so much Hollywood. The third part is even is even more interesting. Over the radio and over TV, if you listen to your newscasters, your broadcasters, your duty announcers, they almost always speak with a British or American accent. So whether you're on radio or you're on TV, you're listening to the news, whether you're on NTA or AIT or channels, you're going to hear one powerful American or British accent speaking to you. So if you're surrounded by these accents that look beautiful, that look powerful, that look successful, you're going to want to speak that way too. And unfortunately, you're going to be, intimidated, depending on what you understand about language, about accents, about communication, and so on and so forth. So it is not exactly our fault. It is the perception we have. Unfortunately,
Uh,
going back to what I said, if you allow anything to stop you from speaking, you will not become a better speaker. You need to
mm,
constantly speak to be a better speaker. So if you think your accent is not good enough, you will stop yourself from speaking. So that's why I tell people, accent is not sense. Accent is not sense. There
Sorry,
is
help
sense
me.
outside of accent. There is sense outside of accent. Please. Mandela has his own South African.
Dr. Ben? Dr. Ben? Okay, so we seem to have lost Dr. Ben. And accent
Okay,
is
sorry
not
about that.
sense. Okay, yes, you're back, sir.
All right, thank you. So Mandela has his South African, his Shona, is this, no, it's not Shona. I've forgotten his language. He has his accent. He's not Zulu. He has his accent. PLO Lumumba, Professor PLO Lumumba has his own Kikuyu Kenyan accent. We listen to him. Mother Teresa has her one of those European accents. We listen to her all the same. It's not about the accent, it's about the sense.
Sense is
There
not
is
sense.
sense outside of accent. So accent is not sense. Now,
Yes,
I will come
sir.
back. I will come back again and tell you again that accents have their value. It's a reality. We're surrounded by it. And whether you like it or not, we tend to want to listen more to the person that has the right accent. That's the truth. That's just the fact. We are influenced a lot by accents. If somebody sounds very British, we'll pay more attention to them. Why? The radio, colonization, Hollywood, name it. That influence is on our minds. That's why the TV commercials use those kind of people to do their commercials. That's the reason why the TV presenters have those. So I will not say that an accent is bad. I will just say that the reality is that we are influenced by it. But sense is more important than accent.
Yes,
sense
sir.
is more important than accent. You have to work on that sense. Now, going back to what Joy was saying earlier, she said you need to improve your pronunciation. You need to improve your enunciation. You need to be able to communicate so that people can hear what you're saying. And that is where, focusing on your pronunciations and your accents and your accent have an advantage. That's where your mother tongue, taking care of all those MTIs, if you like, or MTIs, but not MIT. I almost said MIT. So taking care of those MTIs, as it were, mother tongue interruptions, can help you in communicating better so that there is a flow between yourself and the person speaking. And most of the time, all that involves is you slowing down and pronouncing your words more carefully. Now, if you want a career in broadcasting, if you want a career in TV, in radio, and so on and so forth, the reality is that you may have to actually improve those accents. If you want to work in a call center for a foreign organization, where they require you to speak to Britons, to speak to Americans, to speak to other Europeans, it will require that you actually speak in their accents. So it's not as if accents are bad per se, but you have to be able to know the balance between the two. Why are you speaking? What are you using your speaking to do? Who are you trying to influence? I'm not going to help Nigerian market women by speaking with an American accent. So if I am trying to communicate,
that's where adaptability comes in. I mentioned earlier about adaptability, knowing your audience. Your audience. So if you're speaking to a predominantly American accent, American audience or British audience, you need to be able to speak in a way that you will be understood.
Yes.
And so yes, you will need. Yes, sir. Please go on, sir.
All right. So that's the fact. So you should be able to adapt to whatever audience you're speaking to.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to create an image of the person that is always speaking fantastic British or American English, you are going to have a problem with adapting because you're going to be struggling with that image. And you know the funny thing? When you speak in your so-called American accents, the Americans can hear the Nigerianness in your accent. Yeah. Somebody's listening to me speak now and say, oh, Dr. Ben is speaking with an American accent. The Americans know I'm speaking, they can hear the Nigerianness in my accent. It doesn't matter how I twist my tongue. Okay? The same thing with the British. In fact, you can even argue about it. When you say American accent, which part of America are you talking about?
Exactly. Is it Texan?
Aha. Is it Boston? Is it the New Jersey accent? Is it the Tennessee accent? They are all different, but there is the generic one that we hear from Hollywood. So I understand what we're trying to do. If you go to Britain also, are you talking about the streets, the Hackney, or the one that is spoken by the high class in the British, or are you talking about the Irish or the Scottish accent, or the you can keep going on and on. But the point is very, very simple. You have to know who you're speaking to, why you're speaking to them, and focus more on the sense. I say great speakers have just two things. I call them integrity and skill. Integrity and skill. Every great speaker has integrity and skill. Skill talks about the skill of speaking, using certain tools to be able to speak, whether it is the way you use your voice, the way you carry your body language, and so on and so forth. But the integrity is who you are, what you know, what you have experienced, what your values are, what your message is. All your background and your experience and your knowledge, all those things are a part of your integrity. and that is where the sense comes from.
Yes.
So that's why I say accent is not sense. You have to focus on the sense of what you're speaking. How many of you know Honorable Gudaje or Honorable Kazole? I think he's from Jigawa State. He's not in this assembly. He's not in this assembly. I think he was in the last one. He's the one that had the video some years back of say Nigeria is doing like this. He speaks with a very heavy Hausa accent, very heavy Hausa accent. I always use him as an example because he's one of the boldest and the most outspoken House of Reps members in the House of Assembly. One of the most outspoken. If he was worrying about his accent, you would not hear him or know him today. If he was so concerned about his accent, you will not hear him or know him today. If Mandela was focused on his accent, you will not hear about him today. Mandela is speaking out of the force of his integrity, the force of his knowledge, the force of his message. And that is what you need to focus on first of all. That's what matters. But then, like, I speak to different audiences. I've spoken to audiences in the USA, in Asia, in Australia, in Europe, and it usually helps for you to be able to know how to speak properly to the different audiences and clearly. And that is where the advantage of the American or the British so-called accents come in. But it's not the accent, it's actually the pronunciation and the enunciation of the words.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
And there's something before I forget. One of the reasons why we are attracted to accents is not really because we want to sound like the British. Okay, it's part of it anyway. We want to sound like the British, we want to sound like American, we want to sound sophisticated. But another reason why we like accents, guess what that reason is? The melody in your voice. There is a melody. There is a melody in your voice when you're speaking with an accent. So when you're saying something and you said the closer we get to you, the more we're able to understand why you're doing what we're doing. Now, that melody, we love the melody. It's sweet to our ears. Many of you don't realize that your local accents have a melody, but you're not confident. You are not waiting to enunciate and pronounce well. You are not owning your own message and your own person. So you don't realize that even in your own local accent, there is a melody. That's why when you listen to somebody like PLO Lumumba, you can hear the melody in his voice. When you listen to Mandela, you can hear the melody in his voice. When you listen to so many different speakers that don't speak with your regular American or British accent, you can hear that melody. And so what you need to do, and that comes from confidence, that comes from being careful to pronounce and enunciate words. So no matter how you speak, you work on your mother tongue interruptions, you work on your pronunciations, you work on your enunciations, but you will have a tiny trace of that mother tongue left, and that is the melody. Speak with a melody. Don't just speak. Speak with a melody. Have some confidence in the way you speak. Have some class and panache and style. Not according to what somebody else is speaking, but there's a personal style from where you come.
Be authentically you.
Be authentic.
That is what Dr. Ben is saying. Be yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin and speak with confidence and with power and clarity. Shikenan magana ya kare. Dr. Ben Wayo. It's good to have you, mentor of mine. Thank you so much, so much, sir, for sharing and for shedding light on today's topic. I wish we had you from the beginning. But yes, doctor, thank you so much for showing up and for jumping in, like you always say. Yes, so do we have any questions? Is it clear? You have a melody in your own accent, your own Nigerian accent. Use it. While trying to remove the empty eyes, please be yourself. Be confident in your own skin. speak, like I said earlier, the world stage, and Dr. Wayo is one of the people that rules on that stage. The world stage is not for the people that are knowledgeable and silent. It's for the people who are courageous and bold, who are courageous, who dare to be seen, who are daring, who speak, whether they have an accent or not, whilst working on your empty eyes. You are bold and you show up and you speak out. That's all that matters. Thank you so much, Dr. Wayo. Uche is saying thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ben. Great session.
You're
Thank you,
most welcome.
everyone,
Thank
for
you.
showing up
Thank
today.
you.
Do you have any questions for us? Do you have any questions for Dr. Ben? We've been here for an hour and we don't want to take much of your time, but if you have any questions for us, please share. This is a good time to share. And yes, we have some of Dr. Ben. Yes, Dr. Ben is one of the persons that has encouraged us at Prospeak Live to launch out. And yes, we have courses in the academy and that you would love, I am certain you would love to be a part of. Courses in the academy. Okay, Dr. Ben, we have a question here before we continue. We have a question from Catherine Iboyi Obine, and she says, please, how do you overcome the fear of speaking in public? Oh, Catherine, yes, we have a course. We have a course in the academy, and you want to get in touch with us. But Dr. Ben, what do you say?
Well, like I said earlier, one of the first things you should do is to actually learn about speaking. So you are in the right place. You are at a place where you are being taught and trained about speaking. All right. So you are in the right place. You have to learn. You have to listen. You have to be coached. So you get a trainer, you get a course, you get a class. And the more knowledge you have, the better steps you take. The more knowledge you have, the better steps you take. A lot of times, fear is based on ignorance. Fear is based on ignorance. So the more knowledge you have, the better steps you take. But then the next step you have to take is that you have to take action. And so your coach, your trainer can help you in that direction, but you also must be motivated enough to take action, because no matter how many books you read about speaking, if you don't speak, you will not become a better speaker. So you must get into any sphere. If they say, who will pray in church, say, I'm the one. Who will share with us, say, I'm the one. Anything, anytime to speak, say, I will speak. You will stumble, you will fall, you will make mistakes. But there is no child that learns how to walk without falling. So make those mistakes, get that training, speak, and get better.
Thank you very much for that. Rita is asking, Rita is saying, okay, she says, even a keke man knows where she's from, but the basic question she's asking is, she says, please, what is the first step to take when trying to trim off MTI? Rita, did you start from the beginning? When trying to trim FTI, we shared seven steps. But Dr. Ben, do you have something to add? We shared 7 steps. So you want to go back and watch this video as soon as we're done with this stream. We shared 7 steps earlier that can help you. Yes, and you can register in the academy. We have a course in the academy to address that, and also one-on-one session. Yes, and Uchechi has said something to you, Rita. You can go back and watch the video again from the beginning. I've shared some steps to help you overcome. Yes, thank you very much, Uche. Yes. So, Dr. Ben, you were saying something.
Oh, okay. Like she said, go back, listen to the video. But one thing I always advocate is that I tell people, the more you listen and observe, who you listen and observe will determine how you speak. Now, most of the accents your children are getting from watching Disney World, watching Nick Jr., and so on and so forth. So the more you observe and listen to certain speakers and practice, you're going to get better. So observe, listen, practice. And of course, get accurate knowledge. Just go back, listen to the class, pay for a class. Honestly, get one-on-one coaching. You're going to improve. And that's what Coach Joy is here for.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ben. I don't need to say anything more. Thank you, sir. So Such a pleasure to have you. You're a very busy man. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here tonight. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Do not take you for granted. Everybody, help me thank Coach, Doctor Ben Wayo. Thank you, sir.
Thank,
Help me thank
thank
him
you so
as
much.
he takes his leave. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you
Thank you so
and
much.
do enjoy the rest of your night. Yes, hello everyone. Have you had a great time with us today? Please tell us if you've had a great time. What is your highlight? Share with us your highlight. What's your highlight? Uche, what's your highlight? Rita, what's your highlight? What's your highlight, Ada? Please share with us, everyone who has been on the stream with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening again and again. I do not take your time for granted. Thank you so much. We've had a great time tonight, but what has been your highlight? What is your takeaway? What is it? Share with me. I want to see it. I want to see. I want to see it. Share. What has been your highlight? And before we go, we have a course in the academy. We want to catch your children young and help them grow. Most adults who are having a fear of public speaking, who are afraid of showing up and speaking up and giving up on themselves. And so at the academy, we have decided to take the responsibility of helping our young ones grow while they learn to speak confidently and with clarity. Yes. So, yes, you can register your children in the academy for our boot camps. We have one coming up in August for 3 days, and we have one that's going to last for 6 months. You can see the information scrolling on your screen and has been on for some time. Yes, or you can contact us at the academy. We also have our lines scrolling on the banner across the screen. So, and you can also enroll for our Overcome the Fear of Public Speaking course. Rita, this is also for you. You can enroll for our Overcome the Fear of Public Speaking course. It's once a year, and it holds from January to March. And you can also consult me personally, one-on-one coaching. I'm available. Just basically check the information scrolling on your screen. We look forward to having you, to welcoming you in the academy. Thank you so much. Yes, Rita, what is your takeaway? Uche says, read aloud, practice. It will help you reduce empty eyes and speak with clarity. Rita is saying accent is nonsense. So accent is nonsense. Just because somebody speaks in a British or American accent doesn't make them so sensible. Yes, you can communicate effectively in your own skin, in your Nigerian accents, whilst reducing your empty eyes, so your audience can understand you. Yes, because the basic goal of communication is to be understood and for your message to be clear. Catherine is saying, be authentic, be yourself, be yourself. Don't try to be a copy, be yourself. You are the best original. Be yourself, be fearlessly you. Yes, accent is nonsense. We also have a reading. We have a reading. Do not be afraid to be in your own skin and enjoy your Nigerianness. Yes, speak with sense and not necessarily accent. Everyone, thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you for paying attention to your personal growth. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. So every month we have a free class in the academy. It's our way of giving back. So yes, you can always go back to all of our videos. We have several videos that we give back. It's our way of giving back in the academy and making sure that we invest in your confidence. So yes, thank you everyone, and God bless you. Have a good night. Thank you, and thank you again. And you can reach us. Please check the message on your screen. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.